Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Today we're going to be speaking about Ethereum and how it is breaking that all-time high right now. So if you haven't already, do subscribe, drop a comment, and hammer on that like button. Alright, let's dive into what we're seeing for Ethereum. What we're seeing today is the market is actually doing pretty well overall. Of course, when we're speaking about Ethereum, on the day, it is doing very well. All right, let's look at Ethereum right now. So Ethereum standing right now at about 4,200, 42.6, right? Looking very good. And we're going to go a little bit deeper into the actual market in just a few moments. So looking at this, it looks great. All right, this is the daily. You can see this kind of like down just like very little. But even as we look at the week, as the week's coming up to close, the week is fantastic. So what you're looking at right now is Ethereum still pretty great when you take a look at that dive that we had here just a few days ago. So everything looks fantastic. Nothing looks very bad at all. So it's really exploding. So I would expect it to really jump here soon to around 10,000 here in the next few months. I'm speaking about. So it's exploding up. So it actually gives us hope that the market is going to continue, especially for altcoins. That's what it's showing. Gaming coins, altcoins, metaverse coins. I think they're all going to kind of come up after this. As you can see, with Ethereum is doing very well. So keep an eye on those different coins as well. Previous videos we spoke about some of those coins to kind of keep a lookout for as well. And that's where we're going to see. And this is actually proof that it's going to jump even more. But again, this is the weekly, so it's not quite finished just yet, but it still looks very bullish. So it looks like it's going to really take off with that bull run. So it's fantastic. Even for the day, it's just kind of down, but just wait out on that because we're going to see it's going to come up. You can see the last time we had such a big pump here was actually back in July. Looking here at the weekly map. So you can see in late July, that's when we had that big pump here. But even then, it was all wonderful green candles that we had actually coming up here. Even though we had some kind of down, some red like trickling here and out, it's still better yet. So still looking fantastic, very good, very good. All right, so in here in just a moment, I am going to show you a little bit more of the market as a whole, but we're seeing more of retailers and investors kind of pay into these smaller cap coins. And this is what we're seeing, and that's what we want, right? So we're going to take a look at that in just a moment, and we'll go over what the daily and the weekly is looking like for the rest of the market. With that being said, let's jump into Bitcoin, right? This is Bitcoin for the daily. Bitcoin daily doesn't look so hot, right? Looks okay. It still looks great, right? So as we're speaking for the daily, we're right at 60,000. Right, still pretty good, still great. Nothing bad here. It does look like it's kind of what it's done is we have this new resistance here, right here. So the support line, we've completely annihilated that. We're coming up, and now we kind of had this little dip back here at 58,000, which we completely recovered from it. But what it looks like for me is that when it is moving a little sideways, from the last couple of days, right? So this is that kind of sideways movement that we're having. So as long as it kind of stays sideways or actually pumps up, we're great. Everybody's telling right now to hold on to Bitcoin, don't panic. That's great, of course, holding on. In any moment, we want to see that they're going to, that we're going to have a pump, right? But just in case that it does decide to dive, if it dives, and I'm going to give a prediction here, my own personal prediction, I think if it starts diving down between like 54,000, 57 even, people are really going to get really nervous. So this is like where I would watch out for. If it starts to kind of move down at this point, the same people, and I've said it again, I've said it before, and I'll say it again, but if they start to see it actually start diving it down, the same people that are telling you to hold on, they're going to completely flip flop like a fish in water. So they're going to start selling out too. And when that happens, people are going to jump into other coins, right? Especially seeing that how Ethereum's doing, how Matic's doing, right? Even Shiba, how they're doing right now. People are going to invest into those other coins. And when they do that, it's just going to pump. It's just going to jump up. So here, and we said it before as well, that in the next week or so, we're really going to be able to tell what Bitcoin's doing. And so keep a very close eye out. Break out your binoculars. Break out your magnifying glass. Keep keen eye on that, because eventually, if that starts diving and you start seeing, and if it just dives just a little bit, more and more people's going to catch that and jump too, right? So we'll see that it'll start to get bearish, and that's what we have now too. We have this little dip, but people are holding on. But again, it's doing the same repetitive action, right? So even here, we had this action as well. When we're speaking on that, we had when this really ugly red candle back in September came down. We actually kind of fell down here. So we did kind of change the line of support as well, but it did kind of come back up, right? So I'm not telling you that Bitcoin's actually going to completely fumble it out and completely crash out. So don't get your panties in a bunch just yet. But I do think it's going to fall low. And again, and I can't stress this enough, when it does fall low, that's when the other coins could potentially really benefit from that. So if you are investing into the other coins, keep a close eye on those as well. Looking at Bitcoin for the week. Bitcoin for the week, bleeding out, right? Completely bleeding out. You can see right here, 58,000, right? When we're looking at the weekly, still not finished yet, but still pretty ugly, right? That really, really ugly red candle that we have here. So when we're looking at that, that's like what has me a little bit nervous. So it's still at an all-time high. It's still there. So we're still doing pretty well with that, being that all-time high is right here. So it's very good that we have that. Now, if for example that low that we have, right? Looking in and for the weekly, that low that we have is kind of hanging around right here. We have that low right there. So that's where we don't want to be, of course, for anybody. But that is the low. And you still don't even want to kind of be hanging out here as well. But I would expect at least between 55, 53,000 that we'll see soon. All right, so that is the weekly for Bitcoin. So as we're looking at the weekly for Bitcoin, of course, again, it is the all-time high. If it can hold, it could act as support here, but I wouldn't hold on to too much. But we'll see. It's still too early to call, right? This great pump. It's looking very, very bullish, but can't call it just yet. Of course, can anybody really ever fully call Bitcoin like 100%? No, not really. But that's what we have. Now, giving into when we're giving into Cardano, right? Let's take a look at Cardano. This is the daily, right? So in previous videos, it is still absolutely moving sideways and actually moving at a downward angle. That's what we have at the moment. So it's still declining, right? So even just a couple of days ago, we had that really ugly candle again, but it's still falling. So not only is it not giving profits at this moment, it is you're still actually losing profits, which is really really horrible. We haven't seen this in a long time. The last time that we actually seen this kind of movement here is back here in June and July. This is the last time that we had it, and it was still moving for a very long time sideways before we actually started to get some kind of bullish movement, right? So it did start to rally, start moving up. We did have a bull run back in August, right? Even up until late August, it did pretty good, and then we had some more sideways movement. Then, of course, we had that fall off the cliff moment here in September. And then once we started kind of getting a decent candle, we were hoping that we were going to actually have some more bullish movement. It was actually going to break out over this. However, we didn't quite get it. So it did create a new line of support coming in from late September, the 20th, like to be exact. So we did have that new line of support. But what I'm seeing now, and my prediction here is not necessarily that we're going to have a new bump, but we do have a new resistance here. We do have a new lines of support at $1.80, right? At $1.80, that's what I'm thinking that it's going to be at. So we'll just keep another eye for that moment, and we can see, right? So this is the daily. Speaking of, however, now looking at the weekly here, again, daily gives you more hopes. If you look at it for the day, right, you think, oh, okay, well, great, like it's just moving sideways, whatever. The weekly is kind of what we want to watch, right? Because the weekly, now we're sitting like not good at all, right? We're just absolutely not looking good. So today is sitting at $1.97. So it's still not broke $2 yet. So it looks like kind of honestly that we've already reached the cap here, and it's just declining, right? So it looks like it's going to get flipped soon, very soon. When looking at the weekly, the rehab, and the thing is the all-time high was very beautiful, right? Like $3. But when we look at it here, it's just like we haven't had this decline in quite some time either. Because when we're looking here from May, right, we had that downward angle too on the weekly. So from the 10th of May down to July, we had that downing angle, and of course we had a little bit more hope over the next couple of weeks. But then, of course, now that's where we're standing here in October. So this is just by it. When we're looking at the monthly too, let's take a look at the monthly. Uh, it's like as soon as we had this like huge pump back in August, uh, in September, it completely destroyed. And even as we're moving to October, as of now, of course, the month is closing in too. Still not very great, right? So to say not very great, I'm just trying to be nice, but absolutely horrendous, just completely and utterly horrendous. So let's look at the market. All right. So we talked about the market. Bitcoin, for the last 24 hours, in the red by 0.91%. For the weekly, 0.41 in the red. Ethereum has, again, for the weekly, 392 in the green, so plus, doing great. The last 24-hour period, minus 1.13% in the daily as well. Cardano, as we just said, now the weekly is at 8, almost 9% in the red, very bad. It's holding at $1.96 and $1.59 for the last 24 hours. Solano, keep an eye for Solano as well. Even though you're seeing the red for Solana right now for the week and for the daily, still keep a close eye on that. And if you're paying really close attention, XRP is doing really great too. It's actually killing it right now. And the only other one that's really killing it too, which I'm very surprised, is Shiba. Shiba at plus 65.97% for the week. How great is that, right? That looks really great. That's really good news. Now for the daily, it did kind of drop some at 12, 16%, but still very good. It's doing really good, which is really surprising being such a beta coin. But you can see the altcoins, as we were talking about in the beginning of the video, the gaming coins are actually doing really well. In our previous video, we were talking about those gaming coins, and that's what we want to watch for. Being XRP, Solana, right? They're really good conservative. Solana is a good conservative coin too. If you want to be more risky, and that's what we're talking about, is XRP. Right now, it's still doing pretty good despite the lawsuit that they're going through. We were speaking about that too. It still looks really great. So it seems like too many people aren't really kind of digging into that too much. So I think everybody's expecting them to win. I know I do. So we can see a big pump from here as well. Let's look at XRP for right now. When we're looking at XRP, it can do really well. And let's see, we'll let it load up. All right. So looking at XRP, fantastic. You can see it had the rump. We had a little bit of a drop here, but it still continued to go up. So still looking very bullish. And that's just wonderful news. For the weekly, of course, this is that jump we had as well. And if we're speaking about the monthly, we're still doing fantastic for the month. So keep an eye out for these coins. Solana, XRP, watch those right now, especially as Bitcoin's kind of hasn't made up its mind yet what it wants to do. So we want to see that. Now, don't forget, now Bitcoin is a very powerful coin. It has a lot of power into it. So you can kind of get a grappling hook onto the market. Either way, of course, if it starts to fall, people will bail on it and buy into these other coins, and that's what we're talking about. If it jumps up, these other coins can still follow along with it, as we can see when you kind of compare all of them as well. So just keep an eye on those, watch them really carefully, and I think you're going to see some really, really, really good changes coming up soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. I will catch you next time. Enjoy your week, and don't forget to subscribe and drop a comment and like.